You need truth and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you have tuned into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So, hey, guys, I hope that you are enjoying the interview that I did with Montria. You know, support her work. She has a body of work that is phenomenal. She has a testimony that is also phenomenal as well. So, my prayers for her is that God will begin to launch her into the deep like never before. And so you got to understand, guys, that, you know, God's word will always be true, but everybody's experience is definitely different. And that's the God knows truth. From the woman with the issue of blood to the man that was raised up sitting at the pool of Bethesda, from the man that had his eyes opened by Jesus spitting on the ground, making clay and putting it over his eyes. So the one thing you got to realize when you look at that story, at first it was like, hey, I see men as trees. But then Jesus laid his hands again and he began to see things in a new perspective. And he began to see things normally. So the one thing that I want you guys to understand and know is that when healing comes, that when deliverance comes, when blinders are taken off of your eyes, you begin to see things in a new perspective. And so I understand the fact that there are some people who may not like the fact of Montria totally doing a 180. But you got to respect it, and you got to respect her journey. The one thing that I will say is this, is that there is evolution along the journey. So I just thank God, you know, for her life, for her story, and for her testimony, because there are people who are struggling and they need to hear her words. She is for a particular group. She is for a season and a time that is needed. And that's the God knows truth, because people are looking for options. People are looking for ways. People are looking for a truth that is different, a truth that will take them beyond familiar surroundings, and they are looking for a truth that will make them free. So with that being said, guys, I want you to realize that we are in a time of civil war. I never thought that federal agents would be used, will be weaponized to go into democratic cities and quote unquote, we're going to quell the violence. You know, these protests need to stop, and it's just gotten out of hand. But the one thing you got to realize is this, is that the military is not behind this. The military and military officials have said, I'm not going to be a part of this, because I signed up to fight enemies, foreign and domestic. I didn't sign up to use the power of military, to use the sword of the military against American people on American soil. But when it comes to federal agents, that's a different story. Because all it takes is the rule of law. All it takes is the right attorney general. All it takes is the right official. And all it takes is writing in pen to have these people go into these cities. And you don't know what the real agenda is. All of a sudden now, you know, we're willing to send federal agents to go quell violence. But my question is, where was the federal agents when Flint, Michigan needed water? Seriously, where were the federal agents then? Where were the Army Corps of Engineers then? But this is what I mean when I tell you that you got to watch as well as pray. And you got to understand the time in which we live, because the crazy part about it is like, okay, this ain't working. You know, the hoax about coronavirus, that ain't working. You know, everything that was said. Prophets have said that this thing was going to come to an end. Elected officials have said this is going to come to an end. Around summertime, this whole thing is going to disappear. God is revealing the mockery in people. He is making fools out of all of them because we choose to believe that this is not the judgment of God. The judgment of God has come into the earth, and everything that was an idol on the day of worship is now shut down. People have worshiped their denominations more than God. People have worshiped sports more than God. People have worshiped Hollywood more than God. And God is cutting down the spirit and the idol of celebrity. God is cutting down the worship and the idol of democracy as we know it. And God is using elected officials to bring out that which is hidden. Because that which is hidden will be revealed. And the one thing that I love about this president that we couldn't have had with President Barack Obama is the fact that he is bringing all the racism, all the hidden racism, all the white privilege, all the white fragility, all the white denial, all the white rage, all the ideology of racism. He's bringing it to the top. He's stirring it up, and it's coming up like cream. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because the crazy part about it is that people thought that he was called to fix certain things, like the economy. But I do believe that he was called for such a time as this to fix this whole thing of racism, to expose where the racism is. And a lot of people may not like him, but you got to respect the office. And that's the God knows truth. If you are a person, a man or a woman of God, you have to respect the office. The Bible says that we are to pray for those who are in authority over us so that we may live a quiet and peaceable life. So I want you guys to understand and know that we are in a time that's not peaceable, that we are in a time that's not quiet, but God is still in control. God is still in control, and God can maneuver you in a way in which you can maneuver through all the landmines and pitfalls that are happening right now. Because right now, you got to understand and see the motive and the heart behind your leaders. If your leader is about community, if they are about keeping you safe, if they are about encouraging and engaging your faith in the midst of a pandemic, they are the leader to follow. But if they are about their own personal agenda and trying to rush you back into the house of God, or trying to tell you that this whole racism thing is just a ploy or it's just fake, it's this, it's that, if they trying to say that Black Lives Matter isn't important and we need to focus on all lives matter, Jesus lives matter, they ain't the person to follow. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because Jesus cares about the black body as well as the black soul. And a lot of people will have you think that it has to be either or. We can have them both. I can have Jesus as well as Black Lives Matter. I can have Jesus and have Black Trans Lives Matter. Because at the end of the day, it's about life. We are made out of one blood. We are made from the dust of the earth. We are made out of one flesh. We're not made out of the flesh of animals, but some of that twisted science will have you think that the black man is less than and that the white man is superior. And that is the lie that we have bought into for years. And people are trying to say there needs to be reconciliation. No. Reconciliation only comes when you see the other person as an equal. If that other person is not equal, why do you have to reconcile? It doesn't make sense. And so the logic behind all of this is that in order for this whole thing to be addressed and be healed, you have to deal with it on the church level. Because it was the church that authorized slavery. Because there were people, explorers, who got permission, who got funding, who got slave ships. And I told you about the slave ship Jesus. I'll just give you an analogy. Yeah, that Jesus didn't come to save your soul. He came to enslave your body. It is a mockery. It is a mockery. It is a mockery to the highest degree. And that is the God knows truth. It is a mockery to the highest degree. That you can have a slave ship called Jesus and be a highly religious person and come from a civilized nation and go into a nation of people who you deem as not civilized, who you deem as less than because of slavery in other lands. And you say, hey, we're going to take this and perfect it. And that's what happened. They took it and they perfected it. They perfected it. They perfected it with the black body. They practiced it on the Indians. But when it came to the blacks, they perfected it. And that thing went into effect, and we are still feeling the effects today. So it has to be dealt with on the church level. You have to look at the fact that how is it that people's lives, people's conscience can be changed by the mere simple labeling of a group of people. Because when you give the label, you allow yourself to see them as not being human. And when you see them as not being human, your conscience is no longer towards them because you feel that they're nothing. I have no conscience towards them. I can do whatever I want. I can enslave them. I can train them. I can rape them. I can do whatever and not feel any grief about it. I'm serious. You have to ask yourself, what is it? What is the spirit behind people taking pictures with burning black bodies? What is the spirit behind people taking pictures with bodies hanging from trees? What is the spirit behind people taking souvenirs of body parts and displaying them as trophies? What is that? Have you ever asked yourself that? What is that spirit? I'm telling you right now. And we have bought into the lie. We have bought into the lie of nigger for years. And I told you on the other episodes, when you buy into the lie of nigger, you give yourself excuses on why you need to police a certain way. And now this whole lie of niggers has now turned to the new word protester. And so now it turned into the new word Democrat. And now this is how we have to do these quote unquote Democrats, these quote unquote protesters, these quote unquote niggas. We got to send federal agents, just like they sent federal agents to infiltrate every black organization, such as the Black Panthers, such as the NAACP, and they paid spies. They did COINTELPRO. So people, you got to wake up. I'm going to tell you right now. Because the thing is, we're going to secure our presidency by any means necessary. November's not going to count when you have federal agents and boots on the ground who can disrupt everything. Because they're going to believe that their job is to uphold the law by any means necessary. And you see right now what the law is doing. The law and people that represent the law have their knees on the neck of oppressed societies and people of color. And you got to look at the symbolic gesture or the symbolism of the death of George Floyd. It goes back to the words that says that the man is keeping me down. And you see that literally and figuratively now. Because before we didn't believe it. Before even black people believed the lie that all black people want is a handout. And those came from very affluent and people who were black that had a level of privilege. That black people, they want a handout. And they got sold that lie from white people. that all they looking for is a handout. They need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. But you don't want to tell about how your ancestors and how your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents benefited from the systems in government that helped them get a leg up. But yet the black man is supposed to pick himself up by his own bootstraps. And that all they want is a handout. I'm going to tell you this. I'm so sorry that you believe the lie. But I'm going to tell you this. No lie is truth. And the lie was told that we're thugs. The lie was told that you need to police them a certain way. The lie was told that all we want is white women. And that the Klan and that the white man has to protect his wife, his daughter from black men. These are the lies. Whole lot of lies. It's actually a book of lies. And the reason why the word people needed the word nigger. People needed that word to allow themselves to be moral monsters. To allow themselves the luxury of being deaf to the cries of people. People needed that. And so I totally get it. I totally get it. So I want you guys to be aware of what is happening in our nation right now. And I need for you to wake up like never before. Because I'm going to tell you, this president right here, before he leaves that White House, he's going to be fighting and screaming. And so will the rest of the people that are bound to his agenda. Because I believe that there is a bigger agenda. He's just a part of it. He's not the orchestrator, but he is a part of it. And so we got to pray. And I'm going to tell you right now, you are definitely going to need prophetic vision in this time and in this age, because I've told you life is prophetic and life is seasonal. So you need to wake up and see where the motives of your leaders are. If they're for the preservation of life, if they're for your personal preservation in the community in which you live, that is a leader to follow. But if they are talking one thing and saying something else, if they are a part of the group that's saying the economy before people, you don't need to follow them, because economies change. And there are people right now, man, people of faith that swear up and down that a mask is a Nazi symbol. Oh my God, really? A mask is a Nazi symbol. A mask equals slavery. A mask is trying to keep you safe, just like a seatbelt. But, you choose not to wear it. But don't get mad when people penalize you. Don't get mad when people don't want to service you, because the rules on their door of business is, in order for you to enter here, you need a mask. So my question is that if you're going to have a problem with people's rules, then order from Amazon. You just wasting your time, and you just aggravating yourself unnecessarily when you take and go that route. And that's the God knows truth. So I want you guys to be aware about what is happening in our society today. I want you guys to be aware of what you're going to be facing in these coming days. Because I'm telling you, man, like some brothers say, yo, man, it's real out here. It is real out here. Because it's come down to the fact, your money or your life. We can let certain white privileged prisoners out of jail. I'm going to say that again. We can let out certain white privileged prisoners out of jail and still keep black celebrities in jail, and yet send our kids back to public school. We're so concerned about the coronavirus. Hey, we have to let so-and-so out of jail. But we keep Bill Cosby in. We keep R. Kelly in. We keep the other black prisoners in. And yet want to send our babies out here and say, well, hey, if Home Depot is open, we can send the kids back to school. Really? We can choose to have a state fair, Governor Carney, and say that our kids are safe enough to go back to school. Are you kidding me? Sir, I am for you. But that move right there was bad. Seriously. State fair. No, you saying you need money. And I look at it like this, man. To stay fair, we can do that another time. But then say have stay fair and then send our kids back to school. I'm going to tell you, school districts, you need to wake up. Because my question to you is this. How you going to do social distancing on a bus stop? And you know a lot of times that there are not aides at the bus stops. You know that there are not a lot of times when you go in inner cities that the only people out there are the kids, not parents. So how are you going to enforce social distancing? How are you going to enforce social distancing on a bus? Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of these bus drivers, all it is a check. I'm telling you, I'm being honest. And the thing is that, I just drive the kids to school. It's not my job to enforce social distancing. Because now you have to look at it. Are you willing to pay more to have an aide on the bus to enforce it? And then you got to begin to clean the bus. Because you don't know if that bus is used 2-3 times in a day. You don't know that. And then look at the aspect of when you get to school. What's going to happen when they get to school? So now is the teachers... Are the teachers' role going to be increased now? Is their pay going to be increased now? Do the parents also have to provide PPE? You got to also have a box of masks, some hand sanitizer, and tissues. Is that what every parent needs to send with their kids? Because before, that's what teachers were asking for. They would have a list of things that the kids needed. And one of them was hand sanitizer. So my question is that now you are requiring your teachers to not only be educators, but also enforce social distancing. Are you going to give teachers hazard pay? Seriously. Just like the janitors. Are you going to be giving them hazard pay? Are you going to give anybody that works in a school hazard pay? Are you going to have sports? Are you going to have gym? Are you going to have, auditorium? Things happening there, like shows, like movies. What is it that the schools are going to put in place? Because I'm going to tell you right now, those kids that are going to private school, they probably have the luxury of learning remotely from home, just like their parents who work remotely from home. But a lot of these parents who may be elected officials are out here telling the people that don't have the luxury of working at home, who have a frontline job, hey, you need to go back out here and stimulate the economy. And also send your kids to school. Because we need that tax money. And some of these schools are opening because they get a federal bump. Anyway, they get it. They get federal funding. They get state and local funding. And this is the thing that happens. It's all about money. It ain't about these damn kids. Why you think most of the time when these kids go back to school, it's about taking the test? It's about taking the test so they can get that money. And that's the God knows truth. As soon as your kids get back to school, it's about pictures. It's about them selling pizza. And it's about taking that test. And yeah, they're going to give your kids a trip at the end of the year. But it's more about making sure that your kids put money in the plate, give up the tithes and offerings of the school taxes so that we can get money. And yeah, they're going to have you selling all types of pizza and stuff like that so you can have da-da-da-da-da at the end of the year. So my question is, being as though that some of that stuff didn't happen, are you going to give back, a partial refund? Seriously. That's why a lot of these schools have virtual graduations. Because they realize that these kids paid into this and we can't offer them this. And some of these parents may want their money back. So let's put on something to make it happen. And they did. And it was good. But I'm going to tell you, this year, these kids coming back, I don't know. I'm telling you, I really don't know. Because now, the teachers are looking like, I'm not trying to risk myself. I'm serious. I got kids myself. I'm not trying to risk them. So I'm going to tell you, educators, y'all need to band together because they trying to put you in a mix that's jacked up. And you know how some of these parents are. You know that some of these parents, man, they will send their kids to school sick and everything because they can't afford to keep them home. And they can't afford to stay home. Some of these parents out here, man, the only meals that they are getting, that the kids are getting, is at school. And I'm glad that we're giving out food at this time. That's the God knows truth. But I'm telling you right now, it's come down to your money or your life. Even with my job, even with people with underlying conditions. My job sent me back to work. Underlying condition at all. Told me, said, hey, you can use Family Medical Leave Act. But how long is this crisis gonna be? I don't know. And at this point right now, I'm like, man, Lord, I just want to make it to retirement. So I'm just believing that God's going to keep me. I take the necessary risks that I have to take. But I'm not willing to get out here and get in a crowd of people, man. I'm telling you. People run up to me on my job. I'm like, yo, keep back up. Seriously. Because it's not worth it. I'm serious. It's not worth it. You know what's up when you still got people working from home, but yet they got a group of people still coming in. You know something's up. I'm serious. You know something's up. But they ain't willing to tell you. So with that being said, like I always tell you guys, have faith, but don't be stupid. Peace.
Walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.